Alright, we're going to talk about how to find percentages of data from a box and whisker plot. Often when you're given a box and whisker plot, you'll be asked something like, what percentage of the data is less than 8.5? Or what percentage of the data is bigger than 9? Something like that. So what I did is I came up with a box and whisker plot based on shoe sizes. So we know that this point here is out of all of the people who were asked their shoe size, the smallest that came in was 5. This is the minimum. The biggest that came in was 10.5 on this other side. And then there's some points here in the middle where this is the quartile 1, quartile 2, and quartile 3. Quartile 2, we know this one here in the middle is just the median. So the median size would be 8.5. Now I made up this data. It is not real, but it's going to help us as we solve some problems about box and whisker plots. Okay, so let's just say that we're asked about a percentage. Say we're asked something like this. Okay, here in pink or red, whatever you decide that color is a shaded portion. And the question might be, what percentage of the data is in the shaded portion, is represented by the shaded portion? So let's go ahead and write that question. What percentage of the data is shaded? Okay. Well, unless you know something about box and whisker plots, you're not going to be able to answer this question. So it's my job to help you understand the key about box and whisker plots and percentages. So as it turns out, you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots in this box, on every box and whisker plot, and on this one here. And in between let's grab a new color. In between every one of these 2 dots here lies 25% of all of the data. So here's a 25% chunk. Now, even though in between these next 2 dots isn't as wide, it doesn't look like it could be as much, it still represents another 25% of the data. So here's 25%. Here's another 25%. And then this is a really short segment next, isn't it? In between dots 3 and 4. But it still holds 25% of the data. That means 25% of the people have shoe sizes between 8.5 and 9. 25% of the people have shoe sizes between 7 and 8.5. And then 25% of the people in the study have shoe sizes between 5 and 7. The last 25% lies between 9 and this 10.5. So that's a really useful thing about box and whisker plots, is you can quickly see where the bulk of the data lies. So here we're asked, let's go back to our question now. So we're asked, what percentage of the data is shaded? Okay. The percentage of the shaded portion would be here in pink. That includes from dot 1 all the way to dot 3. So there's one 25% chunk and then another 25% chunk. So if we add those together, plus another 25% chunk, you can see that 50% is going to be our answer. 50% of the data is in the shaded area. Okay, now let's try shading with purple. And we'll ask another question. We'll say, what percent of the data, and this time I'll be specific and say is shaded purple. And now what I'll do is I'll shade from this portion all the way to the end. Okay. Now we can go ahead and count. We know that between each pair of dots is 25%, so there's one 25% chunk. Whoops, let's go ahead and do black to be consistent. So from here to here is one 25% chunk. From here to here, between dots 3 and 4 is another 25% chunk, and that's definitely under the purple shaded portion. And then finally from the 4th to the 5th dot, that's also included in the purple. We add these up and we get 25 and 25 is 50 plus another 25 is 75%. So you can see we can actually answer questions about percentages using box and whisker plots. But it's important that we know that each of these dots represent 25% of the data. So I hope that's helpful to you. If you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the comments. Thanks.